Welcome to the Photo Clinic. This week I thought I'd bring you my Photo Clinic post via the beauty of YouTube. And today I'm going to show you how I deal with over and underexposed images. So let's open up Bridge and take a look. I use a program called Bridge to store and organise my photographs. I also use Photoshop. Now I know that many of you have Photoshop Elements or other sorts of editing programs that you can use, and hopefully something that I'll share with you today will be helpful and you'll be able to use it. First of all, I need to talk to you about how I take photographs. I take photographs in a format called RAW, and this is a little bit like a digital negative. The image itself is a little bit duller, it isn't quite as sharp, and it always needs to be processed in order to bring it up to its very best. But the beauty of RAW is that an awful lot of data is contained within an image, and it means that I can play around with exposure levels and make sure that I get the right exposure, bringing out light and things that I might not be able to do with a JPEG. I can also change colour and tone within an image. So let me show you this image. These images were taken couple of weeks ago when my family and I were visiting London, and we visited one of our church's temples. Now, as you can see, this wasn't actually how I took the image, but you can see that we are really underexposed in this image, yet the building in the background is properly exposed. I can, if I move around with the exposure slider, you can see the moment that we are more exposed, we've completely lost the white building in the background. So my intention is to actually take two images. One image that looks like this, where we're properly exposed. One image that looks like this, where the building and the sky are properly exposed, and then layer them one on top of the other, bringing out and highlighting the best bits from both of the photographs. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do, that's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to open Photoshop now, and I'm going to open my images. So here we go. These are the two images that I've prepared. One where we're exposed, one where the background is exposed. And you can see them both once they're both opened up, side by side. There we go. So this one, we're exposed properly. This one, the sky and the building are exposed properly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to layer one image on top of the other. I'm going to put the underexposed image on top of the overexposed image. That's the beauty of Photoshop. Everything works in layers, and I can layer the two together. I'm just going to select both of them with Command and then a click, and then I'm just going to use these alignment tools just to make sure that each image is properly aligned. It's really important that they're both aligned right on top of each other. Now I'm going to add a beautiful thing called a vector mask to this top image, and then I'm going to take a lovely big fat soft black brush at 100% opacity, and I'm just going to paint on top of us. And as you can see, what's happening is the details from the image below are appearing. So this is the overexposed image that's being revealed right here. Just a little bit on the tree. There we go. So that's it's literally revealing the image below, and obviously erasing the image on the top. So that's what we've got. I'm now going to just zoom in a little bit and just work on a couple of these highlights. So I'm actually going to change to a white brush now, and there's my brush, and I'm going to change the opacity down just a little bit and just work on some of these highlights. As you can see, some areas, like this is just the way that the light was falling through the trees, but we obviously want to get as even light as we possibly can. And my poor husband he was stood right in a kind of blob of light there. Just going to work on him a little bit, just making sure the light is a little bit more even there. There we go. So let's have a look at that on full screen. There we go, that's much better. I'm much happier with that now. So that's layering on top of each other, using the vector mask, and then using the brushes and changing them between being a black brush to reveal and a white brush to conceal again, and then using those in different opacities. So I'm now going to resize my image. I always resize my images as 7 inches by 5 inches. It's a standard size. Everybody prints 5 by 7 pretty much, and I do often a lot of my printing like that, and I've never had any problems, even with all of my professional prints. 5 by 7 is the perfect kind of size, really. So I'm literally just taking the tree here as my guide. I'm taking the side of the buildings as my guide. I'm taking our feet as a guide to know sort of how much tilt needs to be put onto this photograph in order to make it the right size, because everything was, I think because the camera was on the tripod, it was sort of a little bit tilted the wrong way. So there we go, and now I'm going to flatten this because I'm going to work on bringing up a couple of niggly details. Just here you can see I have, my camera needs cleaning, and I've got a little spot that needs to be removed, so I'm just going to use this sort of cloning and patching tool just there, just to get rid of that spot. That's looking a lot better. I'm now going to zoom in and do the same thing with my hair because my fringe wasn't looking great. Like that. So I'm just going to select that and then just bring it over to an area of skin. That's perfect. Much happier with that. There we go. Okay, so now I'm just going to add some actions on the top. I use Florabella actions, and I've actually sort of taken Florabella actions and slightly reduced the opacity and created my own actions from them. Not really changing anything, any of the processes within the actions themselves, but just making sure that they fit my tastes. And with one click I can run multiple actions to my taste, which is brilliant, especially when I'm batch processing. I had a wedding this year and I was able to completely edit the wedding within a few hours. In the past it's taken me several weeks to edit photographs, and now I can do it within hours using sort of doing everything in a big batch, which is brilliant. So the action's almost finished now. It's just a colour pop and then a sharpen that I'm putting on. Remember I said because I use raw actions I have to do this processing at the end just to make sure that the colours are looking vibrant and everything's looking sharp and at its best. You won't really see much of a change in the image at the moment until everything's finished. It's running a little bit slowly today, probably because I'm chatting to you on the computer whilst this is going at the same time. So hopefully it won't be long, just reducing some noise, sharpening it up, and that's looking much better. I'm much happier with that. So I'm also going to add a little bit, I'm loving all the autumn colours, so I'm just going to add a bit of rich autumn over the top, which is just a little gradient layer. I'm going to change the opacity because that's too much for me. This is way too much. This is just about right. And I think it's really important if you are using Photoshop actions, don't use too much. It just doesn't, it's just not looking good. You just want enough to sort of enhance your image, not completely change it, but that's just a personal preference of mine. I'm also going to add a little bit of a vignette, if I can find it. It's here somewhere, a soft vignette over the top, and this one I am going to turn up because it's such a soft vignette. I want it to be just a little bit bolder, and I think that works really nicely. So there we go. that is my enhanced image with hopefully what looks like a slightly more even exposure. Not too dark, not too light. We've exposed for the sky, we've exposed for us, and we've done it by layering one image on top of the other and revealing the bits that we want and concealing the bits that we don't. So there we go, under an exposure. Hopefully that's been interesting. Thank you so much for visiting the Photo Clinic. Please, please do send me an image. If you've got an image that you just love and yet the exposure's wrong on it, there might be something I can do to fix it, even if it isn't in RAW. There are things that we can do with JPEG images to enhance them, and that's what Hayley and I are here for, is just to bring a little bit of photo love to the blogging community that we love so much. So get in contact if you've got a question, if you've got an image you want us to have a look at, or maybe, if you're brave enough, an image that you'd like us to kind of take a look at and see what could be, what we love about it and what could be improved. Thanks very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in a couple of weeks with my next photo